How do you use titanium dioxide with the colors? Well, you can use maybe like, depends on how white you want your color to make. So you can, well, you have, let's say you have 100 grams of cocoa butter, and it means that you need to add 10 grams of color. So you can do, I usually do 5 grams of titanium dioxide, 5 grams of color, and it gives me this very light baby blue colors that are also super, super dense. But you can take like 2 grams of titanium dioxide and 8 grams of your main color. It depends on the colors that you want to use, but don't exceed 10 grams per 100, 10 grams of coloring per 100 grams of cocoa butter. No, there is no need for that at all. Does it make sense to use Micria for coloring? No, absolutely no, doesn't make sense. Micria is the same cocoa butter, it's just made as a fine powder, so you will just increase your costs by using Micria, because Micria is much more expensive than a regular cocoa butter that you can buy in droplets. So yeah, no sense. If I want to tape in my molds, what kind of tape should I use? It is called PVS tape. It's like a plastic rubber tape. It doesn't leave any marks. I'm just trying to find where I have it, but yeah, I don't have it. Yeah, I ran out of it. I don't have it, but it's called PVS tape. I'm just gonna type PV. Oi, sorry, PVS. Yes. What is the max pressure suitable for airbrushes? I would say 4 bars. Yeah, I use maximum 4 bars. Sponge stick you're using, do you make them yourself or buy them ready? No, I buy them ready. They're already coming on the sticks. They look like that, and you can buy them in any hobby store or artistry store. It is super common. And then depending on designs that I want to make, or I just leave them like that, or I cut the edges with the scissors and make them round. But they do come like that. Keep my cocoa butter in small pots. I was thinking maybe keep them warm in a yogurt maker would do the trick of keeping it warm. Yes, definitely. I know some people are using yogurt maker for keeping your cocoa butter warm. So chocolate melter, oven at 30 degrees, yogurt maker. There are a lot of things that can help you to keep your cocoa butter warm at your working temperature. So yeah, good thinking. Got blender, but it's old and I'm considering to get a new one. I just checked the Bamix and there's so many different ones. Which one are you using? Just a simple one. Yes, it doesn't say, I've been asked a couple of times which model it is, but it doesn't say which model it is. It just said that it was some kind of color collection, yeah, something like that. It's a super regular blender, so you basically need the blades and the stick. That's it, nothing special at all. So just most basic Bamex will do for you. Can you also dry the molds using a hair dryer with cold air? I'm afraid that pressure of a hair dryer won't be powerful enough to push out all the water drops from your molds. You can definitely try, but I'm afraid it won't be strong enough to push all the drops out. I have Schneider compressor, 4 bars, as I understand, can give me the same result. It will work fine with Sparmax. Well, if you have a compressor with 4 bars pressure that can give you normal like working pressure at 4 bars, then of course it will work with the Sparmax airbrush. Definitely will work. Where did you get the sponges? Yeah, any hobby store, painter store. Yeah, I buy them here in Denmark in a hobby store. How do you manage 18 degrees for 12 hours if you don't use air conditioning? Well, you can buy small wine cooler that is giving you 18 degrees temperature. You can get a small fridge. There are, I don't know how about other countries, but here in Denmark we have fridges that are made for cooling, for chilling, not cooling, so they can remain 16, 18 degrees temperatures. So just buy some small fridge that can give you these temperatures, and just put your all your molds, your chocolates in there, and yeah, and this is the easiest solution, I would say. For color mixing of cocoa butter, can I use oil-based coloring instead of colored powder? I wouldn't suggest it because, well, I will give you a simple example. I have some gel color, um, and if our powders, it consists only of pure color itself, it's just a color. So this one has glucose syrup, glycerol, and some glucose syrup, glycerol, some regulators, soy lecithin. So it's a lot of things. It can contain oil if it is oil based. So by adding all of this to your cocoa butter, you're adding all of it. You're adding glycerol, you're adding some coconut oil, or whatever this color is mixed already with. And then working temperatures of your cocoa butter already changing, because it's not just a cocoa butter, it's cocoa butter plus whatever was in your coloring. So your temperature's already changing, it's behaving itself differently. So I wouldn't recommend it just because it's gonna be troubling for you to work with. I would definitely suggest to go with the powders. Can you explain your ventilation system for spraying and how to keep your area so clean? Um, my ventilation system is actually super simple. I have just a regular kitchen ventilation, and every time when I'm spraying something, I'm putting filters. So I just bought some, I'm gonna show you this Fabric. Okay, super simple. So every time when I'm spraying, I'm putting this type of Fabric, just some filtering Fabric. I'm putting it around nets that are made to protect my engine of my ventilation. And then all the color that I'm spraying is stuck on this, because it was white, now it's red. So all the colors stay there, and it's basically how I do my ventilation. I don't have a special spray cabinet. Definitely something I would like to have, but right now I don't have anything special for that, just regular ventilation. How to clean it? Well, all around, you just take napkins, your detergent or whatever, and just clean it, but not to let your color go inside the ventilation, not where you cannot clean it, not to go inside your engine where you can't clean it. Just to use some sort of fabric, just some sort of filter to catch cocoa butter and coloring. I think it's the easiest solution. Are the connections on the airbrush compressor and hose and standard size fit? It's different from compressor to compressor. Connections that I have on this one, on small one, is different from the one that they have in a big one. But connection to the airbrushes, they both have the same connection. So one hose works for both of the airbrushes, it's not a problem. But connection to the compressor is a little bit different. So with the big one, I had to buy some extra connection part. I have no idea how it's called. It's all very, 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 very difficult for me. But it's something that you can just ask in a shop where they're selling all the stuff. they just gave it to me. Their how to this connector thing. So I'm sure they're gonna do the same. But with the airbrushes, they're both the same. Scroll up to see earlier questions. I don't know how much up I need to go. I don't know, I need to really go up, and we have a lot of questions down, so maybe you can, if you ask me questions before, during I was working, just you will have to repeat those questions again. So I will not spend tons of time just trying to find those questions. Okay, I already lost track. Which parameters we search to choose the best airbrush? Honestly, it depends on your needs. Someone is working with a 0.3 millimeter nozzle. I think the perfect nozzle is 0.5 milliliter nozzle. So best airbrush, I mean, you can look for most reliable brands, and I think Iwata is the most reliable brand on the market, at least what I heard. And then you're just looking for airbrush depending on your needs. If you want to spray a lot, you need a larger nozzle. If you want to spray very fine designs, then you need a smaller nozzle. So you can look at the parameters for airbrushes that I gave you today, and then just look for something similar and look for something that will fit your needs. If we want to do designs like stripes inside the mold, what kind of tape can we use before spray? PVS tape. Yeah, I even typed it to you in chat. It's called PVS. I retemper before filling a mold every time. Is it necessary, or a heat gun do a reheat? Well, if your chocolate, after you tempered it and you left it for some time, if it is still liquid, you can just warm it with a heat gun not exceeding 33.8 degrees and use it again and continue using. If your chocolate has been solidified completely, then yeah, of course, you will have to melt it again and temper it again. Yeah, that's why it's important to keep your chocolate while you're working with it at a work temperature, not to let it to set, not to let it to crystallize inside your bowl. Otherwise, you will have to do it all over again. Sorry if your answer is already. How do you prevent the cocoa butter from contracting from the mold in patches? All of the things that we talked today, go to checklists that you have in your materials and follow the checklist. There is no like one thing that you can do to make sure that your cocoa butter will be not stuck to the molds. There is nothing like that. It's a combination of how you work, how you apply your materials, what temperatures do you use. So just go through the checklist, and I think it's the easiest way to prevent. Is there a reasonable substitute for spraying with titanium dioxide? For example, can you use white chocolate somehow? Yes, there is an option of using white chocolate. You take 70% of cocoa butter and 30% of white chocolate, and you spray. You mix it, you temper it, and you use that mixture. So it is a substitute for titanium dioxide. I know, one of participants from Freedom of Classes sent me information that Chef Robert has a colored cocoa butter that doesn't have titanium dioxide in it. But I never used it, unfortunately. I haven't got my hands on it. But 70% cocoa butter, 30% white chocolate should do a thing for you. How do you store your clean molds? Yeah, very good question. Let's say it's my clean molds, right? So I always store them all facing down like that, all facing each other, to make sure that there is no dust or nothing is going inside the cavities. So doesn't matter where you store them. I store them all in the same room as I have. It's pretty cold down there, but for molds it doesn't matter. You can put them somewhere in a box or something. Just I think one thing is just face them to make them face each other. So you won't risk of getting your fingers in when you're gonna take them, or getting any kind of dust or anything coming in. Question is about tempering. When I temper the chocolate, what is the temperature? What if the temperature drops below 27 and then reheat it to 32? Would it work? Yes. If your temperature will even drops to 25, it's fine. As long as your chocolate hasn't crystallized, hadn't solidified completely, you can still melt it. You can still not melt it, but you can still heat it. So the most important thing, not to get it crystallized completely. Once it's liquid, you can still warm it. Can we reuse chocolate which is already tempered or tempered wrong? Yes. You can, if your chocolate was tempered wrong, you can warm it again, temper it again, and it will work. So it just, I mean, tempering is just the way how you organize the crystals in your cocoa butter. So if you had your crystals organized wrong, you can reorganize them and to use it. How many times can we retemper it? As many as you need. Can we achieve the same effect with a sugar-free chocolate? I think yes. I mean, sugar is not responsible for anything in chocolate. It's just responsible for making it a bit sweeter. But considering tempering, sugar absolutely is absolutely irrelevant, at least for my knowledge. Does it necessary to warm or to cool down the mold before pouring the chocolate into it? If so, which one you prefer? Neither. As we talked about today, your mold should be 18 to 20 degrees, top 22, and you're just pouring your chocolate when your mold is in room temperature. Remember, you already have cocoa butter sitting in it already crystallized, so you don't want to apply heat or cold, anything. Just keep it on room temperature. It's absolutely essential that cocoa butter be at 31-32 degrees for spraying, or is range okay? Range is absolutely okay. It's a very good point. I mean, 28-32, you got it absolutely right. And if your room is colder, you can use your cocoa butter at 32 degrees, so you can spray longer. If your room is warmer, you can use it at 28 degrees, so your cocoa butter will be a bit more solid and it will be a bit more easier to work with. So yeah, absolutely. Is it possible to color the molds one day and feed the shells with a tempered chocolate and fill in the next day after a few days? Yes, it's definitely possible. But one thing here, your cocoa butter is, if it is like tempered and everything is fine, it will start contracting and separate itself from the mold, even there is no chocolate. So when you have a thin layer of a color, it's too thin to fall out from the mold. But if you apply a very, very thick of colored cocoa butter with the brushes and everything, it is thick enough simply to fall out from the mold if you're going to turn a mold around after a couple of days. Remember that cocoa butter will be separating itself from the mold once it's crystallized. So yeah, you just need to, if it is essential for you to color one day and mold it next day, then you just need to see how it behaves on your room temperatures and then adjust your work labs to your room temperatures, and how cocoa butter is behaving in your conditions. How do you temper colored cocoa butter? Well, we actually spent a lot of time today on talking and showing how to do it. If you're asking about in the bottles, pre-colored, it's exactly the same way. You just take in a bottle putting it in a microwave or in a hot water, waiting for it to completely melt down. Shake it well to make sure that you have even amount of color everywhere. Taking your taking the same plastic container, poured it in, and keeping it in plastic container. I mean, working, it looks nice. It looks clean and nice when you have your cocoa butter in a bottles. It does look nice, but it's very impractical to work with. If you don't have special equipment, once again, yeah. But I believe that it's very practical to work with, so I just put all my colored cocoa butter, I just put in these containers, and from this container I warm it exactly the same way. Warm it to 50, cool it down 27, raise the temperature to working exactly the same. If you will do a bonbon with just dark chocolate and cocoa butter, can I have the airbrush? I don't quite understand question. I'm sorry. Yeah, but of course you can spray cocoa butter, or if you can spray chocolate from an airbrush. Well, chocolate, especially dark chocolate, is way too thick for airbrush. You will need a spray gun for that. But yeah. If we use the Intuition cocoa butter, do we still need to temper? Yes. It's absolutely doesn't matter which brand you choose. You always, I mean, cocoa butter doesn't change its qualities depending on which brand. It always stays cocoa butter. It always stays having the same crystal structure. So even if you look at this bottle of Intuition collection, warm in water bath to 30 degrees Celsius, shake well. May need to be re-tempered. So it has been tempered by manufacturer, but if you will go, I mean, you need to warm it to 30 degrees. But if you will go above 33.8, you need to re-temper it. If you have an equipment to warm your cocoa butter to 31, 32 degrees working temperature without at any point going above 33.8, then you don't have to temper this cocoa butter, because you never interfere with its already existing crystal structure. But you need a special equipment for that. Is there a maximum amount of cocoa butter that can be added to chocolate to increase fluidity? Yeah, of course there is some maximum. I cannot, I honestly don't know the percentage. I would say that 50 grams of cocoa butter for 1 kilo of chocolate will be more than enough to increase fluidity. If you're gonna add 200 grams of cocoa butter to 1 kilo of chocolate, then it's gonna be very, very liquid, very fluid. So it's, yeah. It depends on how fluid you want your chocolate be. Of course, you won't be able to use if it's going to be as runny as cocoa butter. So 50 grams per 1 kilo. I add 10 grams of coloring violet for 100 grams cocoa butter, but the color is too dark on mold, looks like black. Why it happens? With the red one, also the problem that color not looks deep. I never had this problem with any brands that I'm using. Maybe it is very, very concentrated, the colors that you're using. You can change you can always use a different brand and see how different brands are going to behave. But if your color is too dark, too dense, you can always either add titanium dioxide to make it lighter, or add less color. I mean, you don't have to add 10 grams. You can add 5 grams. Yeah, and your color will be 50% lighter. So yeah, 3 options: change the brand, add less color, add titanium. Do you need to retemper cocoa butter if it loses the temperature, or just bring back to 2830. The same as it goes with the chocolate. If your cocoa butter hasn't been crystallized yet, you can still raise the temperature and bring it to the working temperature. If it is completely solid, unfortunately you will have to temper it over again. Which brand do you recommend for nice gold color? I haven't had any. Like to find one that is nice gold. I'm honestly not very big on the sparkling colors brands, but let me find one that I'm using. Called Fun Colors. Fun Colors, yeah. There are different shapes, shades of golden. It can be rusty gold. It can be sun gold. I'm even gonna show it to you. So those three are all gold. This one is gold. It has larger like pieces. This one is metallic gold, it is called. It has a very, very fine structure. It's almost like sand. This is the new one. I haven't even opened it yet. It also have more flakes structure. So all of them, three golden colors, that all of them has a different shape and different sizes of particles inside. So it depends on what you want to achieve. You want your you want to see actual sparkles on your ready chocolate, or you want just to have smoother like golden sand colors. And and you need to find the shade of golden that you will like, lighter or darker. But this brand, it's called Fun Colors, Fun Cakes. It's called works very well. Rainbow Dust is something from United Kingdom. Yeah, called Rainbow Dust. And this one doesn't have any name. But I never, when I'm buying sparkle colors, I never search with a brand. I search with the shade that I'm looking for. When you use your cocoa butter after a few days, you just reheat it or you retemper it again. Well, if your cocoa butter, if you're able to keep your cocoa butter tempered and liquid for all the 2 days without nothing happening to it, then of course you can just continue using it. But it's like highly unlikely that you will be able to do that. And of course, if your cocoa butter has been solidified, you need to temper it again. Watch again part about crystal structure, and I think it will answer your question why we need to do it every single time. Can we achieve the same shine without airbrush? Yes, it doesn't matter. You can paint with your finger and have the same shine. Doesn't matter. Lately I start loving one design that I do with the finger, and I haven't posted those chocolates yet, but I make a bunch of chocolates that I just painted with my finger. I'm just loving it lately. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It will be still shiny. Have you tried natural colors? Could we achieve the same result using natural colors? Yeah, I talked about natural colors more detailed in the beginning, so please rewatch it in the recording. Yeah, long story short, yes, I tried natural colors. I'm working with them time to time. They work, no difference in how you apply them or how you treat them, how you temper them, all the same. Do you follow the same temperature of tempering dark chocolate to temper the colored chocolate? If my milk and white chocolate temper the colored chocolate. Well, usually colored chocolate is a white chocolate, so you need to follow tempering curve for white chocolate instead of the dark chocolate. Sorry. If my milk and white if my milk and white I have this lamp. Just switch it off. if my milk and white chocolate are vegan, made with cashew nuts and coconut milk powder. I'm honestly not an expert on vegan chocolate at all, but you are tempering cocoa butter in your chocolate. So if you have a good percentage of cocoa butter in your chocolate, you're applying the same techniques that you will apply for regular chocolate. I mean, um, of course, coconut milk powder will change it a little bit, but you're still applying the same. Doesn't matter. You are tempering cocoa butter. If you don't have cocoa, I don't know anything about it, but if you don't have cocoa butter in your chocolate, then of course you cannot temper it. There is nothing to temper. Uh, I see that you use the sponge. How do you clean it? Do you wash it? Yeah, I will wash it just with warm water and soap. Yeah, and then dry it out. Do you clear the water for chocolate bar molds with airbrush and don't need the wipe the microfiber cloths? Yes, correct. Yes. Do you put pre-tempered chocolate in oven with light on to maintaining the working temperature? Well, my oven can maintain a 30 degrees Celsius temperature. That's why I can leave my chocolate there. If your oven cannot go below 50, then unfortunately you cannot use it like that. You will have to find some other solution. It depends on what your oven can do, honestly. What is the black portable tabletop you tempered your dark chocolate? Uh, just a piece of marble, basically. If you had to clean the molds of some cocoa butter or chocolate is stuck, do it's due to unsuccessful tempering. Uh, yeah, tempering working temperature is not enough of time, but mostly it will be about unsuccessful tempering indeed. Patches when unmolding is from untempered cocoa butter. Yes, you're absolutely right. Is there a maximum amount of cocoa butter that can be added to chocolate to increase fluidity? I think I'm already answered that. Yeah. When we use a small quantity of chocolate and it crystallizes fast, do we have to temper it again? Yes, if it is solid, you need to temper it again. Sorry if you already answered this already. How do you prevent cocoa butter from contracting from the molds in patches? Yeah, I think already I talked about it. You just follow every single steps that you need to follow and yeah, clean your mold, you temper your cocoa butter. Does PCI affect the shine of cocoa butter? Is it only based on the temper of the cocoa butter? No, PCI doesn't affect it. It only affects how much color is coming from your airbrush. Yeah, it's not only based on tempering of cocoa butter. It's based on everything that we talked about today, on your mold, on your temperature. It's a lot of factors. It's not just tempering your cocoa butter, honestly. Everything that we talked today. Can we mix cocoa butter and colors and reheat and reuse unlimited times? Yes. Until you will run out of them, you can use and use them. Are there any good tools that are useful for decorating molds by hand with cocoa butter? Yeah, the sponges that I showed you today, they're excellent in it. Brushes, what I use these sponges, super, you can do tons of things. I use this type of, it's a little cut, but I use this type of sponges, yeah, to create lines, and I use just usually this type of brush to create different designs. Do you have any recommended references for different designs and recipes for filling? I usually follow that colors on the outside should correspond with the taste inside. So for instance, for this bonbon I will definitely use lime, lemon, maybe pineapple or something like that. I think it will correspond with the color. And I believe there are some molds that are some colors are suiting some molds, and for instance maybe like some very soft flavor like strawberry, like very romantic flavor, yeah, won't be very nice and very I would call the shape aggressive, right? It's clean corners, so maybe it won't be like, and here you're biting is a strawberry with champagne, maybe not very good. But something like a dark chocolate, for instance, or whiskey, more masculine taste, maybe would work fine with this mold, but of course not in that color. For color like that, I will actually the design I'm making one chocolate with a licorice and raspberry. So this is what I'm using for licorice and raspberry, dark and green. But mostly if you are using double fillings, you need larger molds. If you are using just a simple one layer fillings, you need a smaller mold. What is the best way to store bonbons at home? What type of container? I'm using something like something like that. So just a plastic food container that I place my bonbons in one layer. I close them. I have airtight lids, so I just close them completely from all the sides, and I store them under 18 degrees. Yeah, because they need to be closed tight, your bonbons, because they create in their own like microsphere inside, and there will be given a lot of smell, chocolate smell, and it's all gonna be contained there instead of absorbing some smells from coming from outside and then just losing their own moisture and their own smell. So airtight plastic containers, I think it's a very, very good solution. What is the ideal temperature for filling? 28-30 degrees Celsius. What we see the difference in luster after. Can we see the difference in luster after 1 hour or 12 hours for demolding? I don't quite understand. Yeah, luster is some sparkles, but if you mean the shine, yeah, I mean you might have, like we did today, chocolates that we took out today just after about 20 minutes in the fridge are shiny and nice, nothing wrong with them. But usually if you let them to sit for 12 hours, it's gonna come out naturally without forcing, without having any sorts of cracks or problems. It's just always nice to go with a natural way. Why do my bonbons start to crack after unmolded? Depends where they crack, honestly. Yeah, if you can specify where they crack and how they crack, maybe I can answer. But yeah, things like why did it happen? It's very hard to answer because I literally know nothing about your working process and what have you done, when have you done it, how have you done it. So it's really hard to just to guess what could have happened, right? I usually, to be able to answer on some troubleshooting questions, I need to know much more than just it cracked. How hot is your heat gun? Oh, I think it's pretty hot. I don't know how much it's given, but I think it's given. I don't know. It's pretty hot. It's so hot that you cannot hold your hand against it. That's why it's warming up very, very fast. And of course, I'm not holding it directly against chocolate or cocoa butter. It will just simply burn it. I'm holding it a little bit on a distance. Where can we buy the compressor from? Are they sold separately than the airbrushes? Well, there are some airbrush stores that sell both airbrushes and compressors. I bought it separately. I bought a compressor just in a regular hardware store. I mean, if you're based in Denmark, I can say what was the store, but if you're based someplace else, unfortunately I don't know any kind of stores in many countries. Evata HP can work with a 4-bar air compressor. I don't think so. Evata HP needs a stable 4 bars working pressure. So if your compressor maximum gives 4 bar and then it drops to 2, it won't work. My compressor is getting maximum 8 bars and I'm working on 4, so it gives me a very smooth flow. Please tell me the brand of the powdered colors that you used. You have it all in the materials that I have sent you to class, all the brands and everything. I used today powdered colors from Roxy and Rich. It's Canadian, if I'm not mistaken, Canadian brand. And I use yellow color from Manharam. It's I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it's some Indian company that are doing some products for chocolate. So Salsa, IBC, anything, honestly, anything professional will work. I have a problem with closing the bonbons after putting the ganache. Or can you please tell us how to close it perfectly? Well, there are different ways. You just need to make sure that your ganache is stable enough, that you also give it the right time to crystallize, 12 hours. Then you're pouring some chocolate on top and just tapping it so chocolate is evenly spreaded, and then just cleaning it with your metal scraper. Basically, the most important thing here is that your ganache is properly crystallized, so it's not wobbly inside. So after you put your ganache in, give it 12 hours to crystallize, and only after that start to cap it. With a ratio 1 to 10, is possible to have a real white? It's pretty white, yeah. it's very, very white. Where is it? Here. It is very white. What's the difference between an airbrush and a spray gun? I talked about it in the beginning of the class, so please re-watch it in the recording. It's about the difference of spraying capacity, but I talked about it. How much chocolate do you recommend melting for 10 molds of bonbons? I will melt like around 2.5 kilos, I think. But you can find out, you can just melt your chocolate, fill out one. I mean, it depends how big your molds are. Small mold, like this mold, you will need, I don't know, like 200 grams of chocolate, but this can require 400 grams of chocolate because cavities are much larger and you need to fill them completely. So you can just measure how much chocolate goes into one cavity, multiplied by the amount of cavities that you need to fill, and here you go, here is your number, how much chocolate you need to have. What's the ideal temperature for filling? 28-30 degrees Celsius. Sorry if you answered. How do you prevent the cocoa butter from contracting? Okay, I already answered it, pretty sure. I'm very much behind with the questions. Is there a maximum amount of cocoa butter? Yes, done it. How to temper bottled cocoa butter like the one from Chocolate World? I already explained. You just pour it into a container or use a special equipment that can work with to warm up your bottles, but I never keep my colors in the bottles. Could you explain the difference between two of your airbrushes? I explained it in the beginning shortly. One of them has a smaller container and I can control pressure and amount of color directly by a trigger, so I can do more fine work with it. Second one that I use for white color, it's something in between of spray gun and airbrush, and I hope maybe you could see it, hopefully you could see it from a video, that it sprays a lot of color. I cannot control how much color is coming from there. I just have a trigger, so it just sprays full blast, and it allows me to go really fast. That's why I used it for white color, just to go really fast through all our molds, and yeah, and just be done with it. So it's basically two difference. One is spraying little bit and allows you to create some designs. Second one is spraying a lot and allows you to work faster. And this is the main difference between spray gun and airbrush. Airbrush for fine work, spray gun to work faster. What is the pressure when you spray in corners in a mold? It's actually very good questions. I loaded the pressure to 2 bars when I was spraying in the corners of a square mold. So when I was doing these corners, I loaded it to 2 bars. Excellent question. Do you temper pre-tempered cocoa butter the same way as the other ones? Yes. We talked about it today. If you warm your cocoa butter above 33.8 degrees, it doesn't matter if it was pre-tempered. Forget all about it. Do you think it's possible to also temper chocolate using a piping bag instead of tabling? Well, if you need to temper just a little bit of chocolate, then yes, it's possible. But usually you need to temper a lot of chocolate. And yeah, I mean, what should be the size of this piping bag? It should be pretty big. No, if you don't want to mess up your table, just temper by seeding, honestly. But yeah. What is the caducity of the cocoa butter? I don't know what it means. Please explain it to me. Can we achieve a max shine with normal dark chocolate, not the colored brown chocolate? Well, it will be shiny, but it won't be ever as shiny as the colored cocoa butter. Where we can buy your bonbons? Very sweet. I don't sell them at the moment. Yeah. It's I supply my bonbons to restaurants in Copenhagen, but we are having lockdown forever right now, and I have no idea when it's going to end. So yeah, and I don't sell my bonbons just by boxes. Yeah, so at least at the moment. So unfortunately, nowhere. How do you clean the airbrush? Okay, all right, very good question. So there are 2 options how to clean your airbrush. First option is after you finished working and it's still connected to your compressor. Well, let's imagine still connected. You take a very warm, even hot water, you pour it into a cup and you start spraying to clean everything with the hot water. Another thing, you close the nozzle here with your finger and you press a trigger and it will self-clean inside. So all the it will start bubbling here in the container because air is gonna go different direction because nose is blocked. So it's gonna clean itself. So it is fast cleaning. Or you warm it with a heat gun again and just spray everything what was left there, and with a paper towels just clean airbrush outside. The second thing is just to disassemble it completely, wash it with the water and then assemble it again, dry it and assemble it again. So 2 options. Occasionally I get white streaks and the chocolate that I haven't used when it's cooling down. Why is this? Is it a bloom or just uneven cooling and it is an issue? Well, I mean, if it happens occasionally when it's cooling down, it doesn't have to be a big problem, honestly. It can be just because yeah, temperature, crystallization. I'm just checking, I don't have anything right now. But if you can see a clear blooming, then yeah, then it might be something wrong. But if it is just a little bit somewhere, I don't think it is. I don't think it is a very big problem. You store it, temperature changes, it melted here because it's starting to melt at 18 degrees, so somewhere it's starting to melt little bit, then it starts to crystallize again. So it's a normal process. I mean, you need to keep it really in the perfect conditions to avoid any kind of yeah, things happening to it. My network was messing up here, so I had to log back in. Not sure you answered the question already. Where did you get the sponge with the handle? Yes, I have answered it, hobby store or artistic store. Do you temper pre-colored cocoa butter the same way as the ones that you color yourself? Yes, absolutely the same way. You mentioned melting cocoa butter dark chocolate at 55 degrees. Most places I've read 45 degrees max. Is there a reason you go up to 50-55 degrees, or at what point does it burn? Well, I go to 50-55 degrees because I'm absolutely sure that my cocoa butter and chocolate is melted at this point. Well, let's see at the melting curve from Callebaut, the one that they recommend, 45-50 degrees. So you definitely can go higher than 45. It's even Callebaut says that regarding the cocoa butter, well, I just go with it high because I know that it's melted, and chocolate is starting to burn above 80 degrees. Cocoa butter can be even boiled, and it still will be working and crystallizing. Of course, you don't have to do it, but it can be even boiling. So, yeah. If at 45 degrees you can see that your chocolate is completely melted, everything is perfect, cocoa butter is melted, just use it. My internet connection was interrupted and I didn't get your answer about the amount of cocoa butter. Okay, I hope I got it now. You got it now. Magic temper machine can be useful to temper cocoa butter easily. Yes, definitely. So there are a lot of machineries that you can buy that will help, that will make your tempering more easy. Definitely, yes. I find IBC good. Yes, especially natural colors from IBCs are really good. What's the recommended color powder to use? Or you have all the in your materials you have yeah, brands that I'm using myself, so it's something that you can definitely use. Mixing gold with alcohol, it shows more gold. Yes, absolutely true. When you're mixing gold with alcohol, it will be more gold. Yes, absolutely. But if you're mixing gold with alcohol, you cannot do this clean swirl, or you cannot do some other designs. So definitely can do it, but there are certain limitations. Is there a brand of mikria you recommend? I think only Callebaut actually makes mikria, or maybe some other brands already doing it. Yeah, I used only Callebaut. I don't know about anything else. Would you recommend airbrush or spray gun for small business? Depends how small. If you're doing, I don't know, 20 molds a day and you're not doing some fine designs, go with a spray gun. If you're doing, I don't know, 10 molds a day and you want some really fine designs, because with a spray gun you won't be able to make something like that. No, something like that. Only one, maximum two colored bonbons. So yeah, depends on how do you want to make your design, and how much work do you have, how strong you make the pressure and airbrush when you're okay. Yeah, I already answered that. 2 bars. Retempered my chocolate before filling the mold is necessary. Yeah, I already answered all of that questions. Is it possible to color the mold one day and feel? Yes, I answer that. Any temperature above 27 degrees of cocoa butter is okay for coloring. Doesn't necessarily have to be 27. No, it doesn't have to be 27, but has to be lower than 33.8. To make colors with a pearl shimmering effect, starting from the matte powder ones, do you add gold or some shimmer? Yeah, of course, you can add gold, you can add silver. It's like mostly known, but there are also shimmers that already have a color. So for instance, this is green, and you can add it to green colored cocoa butter. It will give some extra twist. This is black, and you can add it to black colored cocoa butter. It will give extra shimmer. This is also green. So it is ridiculous amount of the shimmers available on the market. So you can basically find a shimmer for any kind of color, or you can just go with the golden or silver. Can you explain what it means when chocolate is over crystallized, and what do you do about it? When chocolate is over crystallized, well, if you're working for a long time, you're keeping your chocolate under the same degrees, it can be over crystallized. Or if you're trying to keep your cocoa butter in like a yogurt maker for a couple of days, then it's going to be over crystallized. Over crystallized, it means that amount of the stable form number 5 is getting too much of it. It's all of it, and it doesn't allow any other forms to be present in there. And it usually happens when you're working and keeping your chocolate for days, cocoa butter and chocolate for days in the same in the working temperature. So when it's getting very, very thick, like something that you will get from Magic Temper, it's a cocoa butter, it's very thick, it's called sleek, it's very, very thick. So when it's getting that, you will have to warm it, cool it down, temper it again. Yeah, just to release this ridiculous amount of stable crystals that already formed. With a 1:10 ratio, is it possible to have a real white color? Yes. How long can we reuse colored cocoa butter? Well, until your expiration date, basically. Just check expiration date of your cocoa butter, check the expiration date of your colors, and then decide what is the date that you need to be done with them. What is the best way to clean your airbrush? Is soap and water the best way? Yeah, basically soap and water. Then you can clean it without disassembling it, or you can disassemble it. But yeah, hot water and soap is the best way. What is the proper procedure for freezing bonbon? You put them in an airtight plastic container, you place them in the fridge for 24 hours, so temperature goes down stably, and then you, in the same container, you place it in the freezer. And you can freeze them for up to 3 months. Then you take them out from a freezer, put them in a fridge so they can defreeze evenly, and only after that you can take them out, also for 24 hours. Satin chocolate, shorter time in regular fridge versus 12 hours in a wine fridge. Does one effect shine more than the other? Yeah, well, I already talked about it. If your bonbons are ready to go out from the mold after 1 hour, great, just use them. Use a fridge, or I mean, you still need to go at 18 degrees. And you cannot store your bonbons overnight in a fridge. They will get way too cold. They will be full of condensed water when you take them out. So yeah. You can leave them for half an hour in the fridge and unmold them, up to you, or you can spend 12 hours just overnight at 18 degrees. I don't think it affects shine, but it might affect how good they will be tapped out from your mold. What is the ideal humidity? Oh, I need to look at it. I think it's 40 to 60. Yeah, I think it's 40 to 60. Very low humidity. How do you calculate how long bonbons will be less dependent on the filling? Well, it's a completely it's a completely different subject. Shelf life of a bonbon and of a ganache. It's a completely different subject, and I'm addressing that subject in 1 week from now. Next Saturday, I'm having a class about ganache, and there I will be telling everything about shelf life and stuff like that. Thank you very much. You're very good at explaining things, good teacher. Experimenting, improvising, and practicing helps to improve the process of chocolate making. Often one learns more from the things that went wrong, and discovering what one did wrong and won't happen again must go now. Yeah. Thank you very much. And I agree with you completely. Experimenting is practicing is the most important part. Do you warm the bonbon shells before capping them? No, I don't. I don't, and I don't have any problems with it. The problem with when you're warming them before capping is that your cocoa butter on the edge is starting to melt, and then you will have this skirt sitting here, and it doesn't look good. So I never do it, and I never had problems with my bottoms are not sticking to to bonbons. Thank you very much for a class. Really nice. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Paula. It was great having you. How we can proceed for preparing less quantity of colored cocoa butter? The same way, just takes smaller amount of cocoa butter. I found that 100 grams is easiest, like smallest amount that it's easier for you to process with immersion blender. But if you have 50 grams, just do 50 grams. When you talk about 4 bars, how many PSI is this for US users? I don't know. I don't know. I need to check. I don't have a phone with me. Well, just please Google it. I don't have anywhere to check it right now. Just Google it. These bonbons, how long can be stored? Well, what we did today is just empty shells. They can be stored basically until your chocolate expiration date has run out and your cocoa butter expiration date has run out. So no problems. If they're filled with a ganache, it's different. It's the shelf life of ganache. As because less quantity is not possible to the immersion blender. Yes, indeed. That's why I use 100 grams as a minimum. Yeah. Try 50 grams. Just take a tighter glass. You can try just a cup or something. Try 50 grams. But I don't think you can go, 4 bars, it's 58 PCI. Thank you very much. Thank you for this information. Thank you. How do you clean the spray gun once all the spray done? I already talked about it. As a beginner, which airbrush you recommend me to buy? Well, honestly, you can. I was working with a pretty cheap airbrush. It looks exactly like this one. It was called Timbertech. So if you don't want to spend a lot of money right away, I mean, this airbrush costed me 100 euros. So still, first one I had costed me 20 euros. So other one, Iwata one, is much more expensive. So just look for something with a 0.5 millimeter nozzle, with like gravity cup, and just look at what airbrushes I'm using, what features they have, and basically find something available on your market with the same features. Don't you have to have moment to achieve crystallization? So I don't understand. Sorry, can you please rephrase it? Can you tell us how you take your pictures? Well, super simple. I just put my bonbons, I took them out, I put them on top of the mold, I step out on the terrace, I took my phone and I take a picture. I don't have any setup whatsoever. I was using a professional camera to begin with. I was doing some lights, like here right now I have a lot of lights, a lot of lamps going. and I was trying to use it for bonbons, but then I decided, okay, I'm taking picture of bonbons so often, I cannot put lamps every single time. So I just use in a daylight and yeah, just taking pictures outside. No, nothing, yeah, nothing special about it, honestly. Yeah, you just need to have yeah good camera on your phone. I'm pretty happy with the camera on my phone, basically. Yeah. Ratio cocoa butter and colors are the same for synthetic or natural colors, 10%. I would say yes. I would say yes, but if you're using some freeze-dried fruits powders or matcha teas, then you will have, I cannot say the ratio, you will have to define it by yourself. Just mix it and see the result. How to fix edible gold and silver sheets. Uh, Put it on top of the of your bonbon when it's ready. So when it's ready, just to put this golden sheet on top, and it's gonna be there. I think it's the easiest way. Or you can put it inside the cavity and then spray on top of it, so it's gonna be sticking to your bonbon. Oh, okay, one is out. Thanks for today. It's really enjoyed. We'll get involved again in another lesson soon. Yes, thank you very much, Gary. It was great to have you. Thank you. Oh, but I have to leave. Very good class. Thank you very much. Was happy to have you. How do you transfer bonbon in a summertime? Well, if it is super hot, you need to have some sort of transportation bag that is keeping chilled temperature, like yeah, special bags that you use for transporting cold things in summer. Basically, that's it. Thank you. Very good class. Looking forward to another class with another subject. Thank you very much. We'll be happy to have you. Thank you. Thank you for amazing lesson. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to hear it. Hope your husband wants to clean up after all of that. We will do it together. Thank you so much. The class was wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a wonderful workshop. You're an excellent teacher. I'm so glad I signed up. Thank you. Oh, I'm really happy to hear it, Andrea. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this workshop. Has been very helpful, and good luck with all the chocolate. Yes, guys. Good luck for you all, and thank you very much. Thank you for a fantastic class. Thank you very much. Your amazing class, and Lessa was keeping things up and running. Yeah. Lessa was really helping us today. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for all your patience. Oh, you're very welcome. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for life, amazing work. You are wonderful. Enjoy the weekend. Yes, enjoy your weekend. It was great having you. Yes, thank you. Sorry, I mean that I heard you have to move the chocolate to temper. Yes, I was moving it on the table, so you need to make sure that it's cooling down evenly. That's why you need to move it with a scraper on the table. Thank you very much for formative class. It was amazing. Thank you very much. I'm super happy to hear it. So much to learn so much today. Super happy to hear it. Have a great weekend as well. You're really amazing. Learned a lot. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Elena. So if you keep all the template colors in containers, I assume you have a huge collection of containers. Yes, I have a very big collection of containers. It's true. Well, I have IKEA. Thanks for excellent class. Thank you, Elena, for this wonderful class. Thank you. But spend money. Oh, I'm really happy to hear it. Great. Thank you, Viviana. It was super great to have you. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Learned a lot. Thanks so much. Thank you. Thanks a lot for this opportunity and for your help. Good luck, everyone. Yes, guys. Thank you very much. Do you have a list of more classes? Yes, I have. Actually, only one right now. On my website, I have Ganache next week, and after that, I'm gonna do Easter eggs. Yeah, this is the plan. I'm constantly behind. Thanks for answering all the questions. Thank you for asking, being patient, answering all the questions. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for Mother's Day. Thanks a lot. Yes, only one more thing. The bonbons I saw yesterday on Instagram. I haven't anything else for shining like a mirror. No. Today I shared every single detail that I'm using. Honestly. Nothing. I didn't hit nothing. So everything, I mean, those ones you just cannot see on a camera, but it's also like a mirror. I will take a picture after class. I can see my reflection in this one. So yeah. Oh, you can see reflection of a laptop here. So all the secrets. I keep spilling things today. Will be the Easter workshop coming out soon? Yes, I hope I will work on it next week, and I already got my tried it this week, but I'm not very satisfied with the results, so I'm gonna work next week, and I think it's gonna be announced for 6th of March or something like that. Yeah. Will be waiting for the video because I need refreshment again. Yes, of course, you will all get a video, unlimited access. So yeah. Was the Mac Shine one very different than today, or same things? No, basically the same things. I saw your Instagram bonbon with a mermaid effect. How did you achieve it? If it had different colors, depending on the, it had different colors depending on the light. Yeah, it was this mold from Chocolate World. It has like a lot of different small surfaces, small angles, so it reflects everything in a disrupted way. So basically what you could see there is reflections from blue sky, being like very blue, and then when I was turning it, it was reflecting my pink sweater that I was wearing. But because it's very, very uneven, you cannot see what is reflecting. You can just see lights changing. But it was the sky and my pink sweater. Yeah. So yeah. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to hear that you enjoyed the class. Can we use other oil for the color powder? No, only cocoa butter. I mean, if you're planning to make a cake, you can definitely do, but if you're planning to make chocolates, you have to use cocoa butter. Thanks for explanation. Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. It was amazing, and I think we got all the questions covered. So it was super having you all today, and I'm impressed that. Thank you very much. Yes, I attend more of my classes. Will be amazing to have you. I'm impressed that 43 of you are still here. Super nice. You have a great patience, and yeah. Thank you very much. I'm gonna I'm gonna start cleaning up, and hopefully preparing new classes and things for you. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you all for having participated today. Yeah, send me your pictures of your bonbons. We'll be happy to see them. So yeah, bye.